Hey, welcome along to a new video. Now we're going to be doing a little story time here in this one. This is a cautionary tale for the young people out there, and a little story about friendship and making sure that your friends are actually true friends and not just using you for what they can get out of you. So that happens quite a bit, particularly I can only I can only speak from a male perspective on this, but you're never more popular than the year you pass your driving test whenever you're growing up. That's where this story comes from. Around about 1996, 97 time, I was the guy, the designated driver in all scenarios, essentially. So the friend circle kind of exploded at that point. When people start to realise, alright, this person's got a car now. Let's go hang out with them. We can go places and whatnot. And, that sounds like a very cynical thing to say, but let me finish the story before you judge me on how cynical that just sounded. The group circle got a little bit bigger. People were more interested in you. And having said that, once you get a car, you can expand the amount of people you meet because you're able to get out and meet more people. But this group of friends that I had at that stage, we used to hang out most evenings. And I was just out of high school, passed the driving test, working at the same time. I worked in retail at that point. Nothing that I wanted to do because of the medical history and whatnot, just completely aimless whenever it came to the working world. That's another story for another time and on this channel somewhere. So not even going to point you towards the video. It's just that there's a big story there. Directionless heading out of high school into the real world. Wanted to do science, didn't happen for one reason or another, but I digress. So working in retail, that was 4 days a week plus a day training, but I had to work one late shift at this retail place, so we would have hung out in the evenings after work and whatnot. But we had planned this one Friday to head down to a local bar for a couple of games of pool and whatnot. And the plan was we're going to head down there 9:30, 10 o'clock, have a bit of fun, no problem. So as I say, working on retail, the one late night that I did at that stage was a Thursday evening. And of course Friday rolled around, completely shattered. On the Thursday I was in from 9 o'clock in the morning to close to 9 p.m. at night. So big shift for anyone to do in one lump. So Friday rolls around after the whole week's work, feeling kind of knackered. So I get out of work 5:30, head over home, grab a bite to eat, roll into bed. Plan is get a couple of hours sleep, get back up, go over and meet these guys 9:30, and we'll head off their plans and whatnot. So that's what I do. Go home, get a bite to eat, have a little sleep, get into the car, head over to meet these guys in the usual spot. And the 90s, you just hung out on the side of the street. So that's where I found them at, the usual spot. They were usually just sitting at the side of the street, talking nonsense. I pull up in the car, head over to these kids, and well guys, what's happening? Met with a complete wall of silence at this point. And I'm like, what's going on? You would have thought something like desperately wrong had happened at this point with just the attitude that I was meeting. So I'm like, what's going on? And this one guy pipes up and he says, I need to clean this up for the internet, of course, but where the F are you at? And I'm like, well, we're not heading down to the bar to 9 p.m, 9:30. Like, I'm on time here. And he's like, we wanted to go and get a few drinks at the off license before we headed out. Where were you at? And I in that moment I'm just like, alright. Obviously I'm getting viewed as these guys' driver at this point. You know, people, you like to consider people that you consider friends, you like to think that they would consider you in the same way back, which is not always the case in life. Particularly, as I say, you're realising now how cynical that earlier statement was. This is where it's coming from. I'm just like, right, so what was your plans then? And they were like, well, we wanted to go down at 5:30 and get what is called these days, I believe, pre-drinks before they head out that night. That that's an hour video for an hour time. It's, things that are annoying. Pre-drinks for me has been one of the most annoying statements of all time. But I digress. These guys were sitting from essentially 5:30 p.m. up to 9 p.m. just so this one guy could get in my face about not being there at 5:30 p.m. to drive them to an off license to get some drinks so they could get slightly hammered before they headed out that night. Kicker to that is, and I actually suggested to do it on the spot. So I'm like, you've been sitting here for what, 2.5 hours or so, raging that I'm not here to drive you down. Where you want to go to is a literal 4-minute walk from where you're at right now. Couple of minutes getting the stuff you want, and a 4-minute walk back to here. You can have it done in about 11 minutes, and you've been sitting for what, 2.5 hours, just so you can get into my face about this. And he's like, well, it's too late now to do anything. And he storms past me and he heads towards my car, and the rest of them get up and they do the same. And I'm like, well, where are you going? And we're not going to go to the off license. No, it's too late to do that. And at this point, like, I'm walking away towards the direction of where it's at, and they come after me at this point. Like, where are you going? And I said, well, I'm going to the off license. And no, it's too late for that now. We'll just have to go to the bar. And I was like, oh, that's okay. So I turned around and I start walking the other direction towards my car, and unlock it, hop in, put the window down, and quickly lock all the doors again. The guys come over, try to get into the car. I was like, what are you doing? Let us in. And I'm like, well, no. I have been working all week. These guys were slightly younger than me, I have to say, at this point. About a year or so below, younger than me, so they were actually still in high school at this point. Like, I'm just out of high school, passed my test. These guys are final year in high school at this point, so they're not even old enough to drink. And the bar we're going to that night, has to be said, it was one of those bars that if they kicked out all the underage people, they'd be out of business in about 6 months. So I'm like, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm driving myself down to the bar for a game of pool, and I'm driving myself there, and you guys can come when you want, but you're walking there. And that, again, like the off license, was like a 5-minute walk from where they were at. So in that moment, I realised that I wasn't a true, these boys didn't consider me an actual real friend to them. They were just there for the free run in the car, essentially. So that is the cautionary tale for you. In life, friendship has to be a two-way street. And if it's not a two-way street, the best, most healthy thing that you can do in the long run is just turn and walk away from those kind of people. Because if you're going to let them walk all over the top of you, as far, and that sounds like a very small thing, I know, when it comes to a bunch of mates hanging out and you're the guy that's always driving because you've got the driver's license, you've got the car, you start letting people walk over you in scenarios like that, you're going to start snowball effect throughout all other aspects of your life. If they're walking over you from in that sort of situation, they're going to be walking over you the rest of your life. And in all fairness, once I put my foot down that night and just pointed out the fact of how insane that sounded, that you're going to sit for 2.5 hours and not do the thing that would have took you like 12 minutes to do, it just proved that, you know, this one guy in particular was just jonesing for an argument with me. So showed their true colours in that moment, and because of that, I don't think that the friendships of all those guys lasted more than close to a year after that, because you just once an asshole shows their true colours, they're never going to be able to not show that. Once the genie is out of that particular bottle, you know, it's never the same after it. But the main thing you can do in a situation like that is stand up for yourself and just draw the line. People like that are never true friends in the long run. Right, that's going to do it. I will see you tomorrow for a Chug Tuesday.